Hi, I am Pratim Ranjan Bose, and you are watching Podcast with Pratim, presented by Iravati Research and Communication Center, or IRCC. My today's guest is Mr. Vikas Sawarswat, and we will discuss BJP's poll debacle with special emphasis on Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Sawarswat is an UP-based textile manufacturer by profession, a newspaper columnist by passion, and a nationalist at heart. He coordinates the Agra chapter of Indic Academy, an institute for Indian knowledge systems. Welcome, Mr. Sawarswat.
Thank you so much.
There is a reason why I zeroed in on Mr. Sawarswat for this discussion. As you are aware, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in power for the third consecutive term. However, in a major difference from the last two terms, Mr. Modi's BJP lost 63 seats compared to its tally in 2019 and fell short of the majority. The BJP-led NDA alliance, however, won the election comfortably. 80% of BJP's losses came from 3 states. 14 seats in Maharashtra, 29 in UP, and 6 in West Bengal in the east. Maharashtra is in the west, UP is in the north, and West Bengal in the east. Much of BJP's loss is attributed to regional players. UP-based SP increased its tally from 5 in 2019 to 37 in 2024. The loss in Maharashtra is attributed to poor coalition calculus. BJP was a marginal player in West Bengal till about 5 years ago, and the state unit is not yet ready. But the loss in UP is exceptional for 2 reasons. One, UP is the epicenter of Indian nationalism, also referred to as Hindu nationalism, which is the core of BJP's political ideology. Second, BJP's Yogi Adityanath has been successful in turning the state around in last 7 years. So if you leave these 3 states out, BJP did exceedingly well on a pan-India basis. They expanded their presence in every state in the south, including Tamil Nadu, where they are now, in terms of vote share, they are into double digits. They have the first MP from Kerala. They swept election in Odisha, MP in the east, MP and Chhattisgarh in central India, and Gujarat in West India. Looking around with, if you look at geographies of wins and losses and the overall spread of BJP, then you get an idea that this result is not uniform. What I mean is that it is not like any wave that has taken over, any single wave. There has been the exit polls. Each one of them have failed to predict the result. And that proves that this is not typically a case for political pundits, because the reasons might be a little more difficult to identify. This is exactly the reason why I invited Mr. Sawarswat in this discussion for a 360-degree view. Sir, I think it was Nupur Sharma who pointed out on the result day that BJP had expanded its presence or taken into fold the constituencies which they were not previously present. They made new friends, but they failed to take care of their core constituencies, as in UP. Do you agree to this view?
I have to largely agree with this view, because you see, the states where they were in power, let us first make a very clear distinction between the Madhya Bharat states, which is like states from Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Odisha. This is the Madhya Bharat belt, because every time certain questions are posed or some arguments are given, the first question, the natural question arises that why these trends were not visible in this belt. So we have to be very clear about this one thing, that if at all any belt can be called a Hindutva belt, in India, it is the Madhya Bharat belt. Even in Orissa, if you have seen the results in the early 90s and so on, BJP was doing extremely well there in the early 90s. It is after some time that it started drifting. So Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, this belt has consistently given good results to BJP. That is because Vishwa Hindu Parishad has done extensively well in these areas. It has taken up groundwork at the village level, at the municipal level, from a very, very long time. So barring that, if you see, there is not much major inconsistency in the results in north of India as well as south, excepting for states like Karnataka, because that, of course, is a different chapter. This belt, whether it is Maharashtra or Rajasthan or Haryana or UP, or even, I may dare to say, even Bihar, because Bihar, if you closely observe, BJP has sailed on the strength of an alliance. Amongst all the four partners, BJP's strike ratio is probably the poorest. So they have managed to sail through there. So the reasons also have to be found out. Why, what kind of societies these 4, 5, 6 states are, what are their concerns, what is the vote bank affected. So if we take that into account only, we can reach the proper conclusions.
Right, very right. Bihar is more caste-oriented voting. Bihar and Eastern UP in particular. And then probably there are many distinctions in these areas. So it is not a one size that fits all. The second question is, there is a clear case of strategic voting by Muslims. In UP and West Bengal, it is clearly visible. They voted against BJP for Congress or for strong regional ally of Congress, or that is what is called is INDIA bloc. It is SP and TMC were part of it. Unlike in the past, they did not vote for Muslims in this election. BSP fielded, I think, maximum Muslim candidates and all lost. So apparently, there was a game plan to vote for Hindu candidates against BJP. BJP was clearly unaware of it. Padmaja Joshi of Times Now presented an interesting data. Nearly half of SP's gain, I think they gained 32 seats this time, and 14 came from constituencies where Muslim vote is 10%. So that this 10% will go en masse to one side, that was not predicted or taken into account by BJP. And that is exactly the question. Why BJP was so unaware of this M+ strategy?
I think not only on this count, but on so many other counts, it was overconfidence on the part of BJP. They thought that the same nationalist sentiment which had prevailed in the 2019 elections is still there. The rainbow coalition of the Hindu castes is still there. And on top of it, there is Ram Mandir wave also. In fact, if you were asking me before the elections, I might also have erred on that side. So this is all wisdom in hindsight after seeing the results.
Obviously, so, I also held that Ram Mandir will have a huge impact.
Yes. So Muslim consolidation, BJP might have hoped that BSP will cut into some votes, but we have to give credit to Congress. I mean, Pratimda, not only, Muslim consolidation has happened under the umbrella of Congress party. Congress party is now the main main party of the Muslims in at this time. So much so that I feel even the gains in UP are more because of Congress party rather than SP. If you compare the data, the numbers of 2022 elections, the assembly elections in UP, Samajwadi Party more or less stood where it is today. There is probably an income, because whenever there is an anti-incumbency vote and the vote goes to the other side, obviously there will be some gain. But the numbers by and large stay, for SP, they stay where they were in 2022. But on the other hand, Congress has seen a phenomenal increase from, if we compare 2019 to 2024, Lok Sabha to Lok Sabha, it is probably like more than 50% increase in Congress vote share. But if you compare it with the assembly elections last time to this election, it's a phenomenal increase. It's like about, they were somewhere around like 2 point some percent. Now they are around 9 point some percent. So it's a very big increase. Muslims are consolidating under their first party of choice now is Congress party from north to south. This probably will also pose some problems for Samajwadi Party also, if these two parties like how their relation pans out, that is to be seen. But now both the parties are contender to the same vote bank. Samajwadi Party couldn't gain. Rahul Gandhi, you have to give credit that he has managed to pull almost all of the Muslim vote under Congress. So that is one story. And the second story is like there is actually a positive vote which has gone in favor of India Alliance, and there is a vote in anger against BJP, which can not only be seen in UP, it can be seen in other states also, whether it is Rajasthan, Haryana, or Maharashtra also. So it's just simply not cadre apathy or indifference or like overconfidence. There is a conscious vote which has gone in that favor. We can all estimate as to how and why it has happened. One reason could be that the 8.5 thousand was actually a big success. It went unreported. And when you were speaking about the exit polls, a person who comes out of the booth will naturally not say that I have gone and I have voted for 8.5 thousand. They'll, nobody will say that I voted out of greed and out of this lure for money. So that might also be the reason that the exit poll reporting was a bit fallacious on the erroneous side.
Now, see, a couple of things are constant in any political system. If you are in power, if you are a dominant power, there will be anti-establishment. It is a constant in any system. People will fall for easy money. That is also somewhat constant. Why blame people in UP? You look at elsewhere also. So these are bound to be there. And it is the political party that will take care of that. They lose sometimes if they are staying for too long, they lose some votes, but they know how to manipulate the system, right? But look at this thing, that Congress is on a mission to gain its Muslim votes back was known to the think tank, because it is only they told me about these things, about the Congress's strategy, which also that it will lead into conflicts with the INDIA partners is foretold somewhere at the other time, and that is probably the BJP's chance to make BJP or whichever party is to make gains. But the core question is, when this was happening, it is their political intelligence. So how could they afford to be so complacent, or whether there was a complete, what we say in business terms is a management failure, where the things are not coming up and from the ground, it is not reaching to the top. It is a case of complete internal communication failure. Do you agree?
I agree. There is no doubt about it. And for that reason only, the piece which I had written for Swarajya, I mentioned that this high command culture actually has blocked a lot of voices. There is a parallel kind of an apparatus. So there is only one kind of reporting which is happening there. See, when you will screen out a whole gamut of like a cadre and local leadership and everything, then you get to hear only very limited things. So this affects you. This was happening with the Congress party also, when there was a high command, and high command culture has set in BJP. It is for them to see it, realize it, and take measures to correct the course. But it has definitely set in there. Obviously, there was a mischief mongering, very successful mischief mongering on part of the alliance, where there was a rumor about the reservations being taken away. And I think there was pretty much of success with the 8.5 thousand kind of thing also. We have seen a lot of videos. BJP failed not only on that part, BJP failed in seeing that these kind of promises were being made door to door. I mean, something is happening door to door. You are the largest party in India, and your cadre is nowhere on the ground to see all of that.
I have a small question here. This rather, you see, in many areas, whether it is in Maharashtra or in West Bengal, I saw the TMC bombarded through radio, right? In Maharashtra, through regional channels. Did you notice any such thing in UP?
Frankly, I did not notice.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
but we could see.
But what I'm trying to tell is that we saw very smart communication, effective, if not smart, effective communication from Congress and the whole this opposition this time. And BJP, which actually invented smart communication in 2014, have simply, they simply failed. They were nowhere near. And they failed to pick up the threads. The radio advertisements over here were going on about, they say Bohiragato. So they were labeling BJP as an outsider. So this campaign went on for more than 2 months. And BJP failed to counter that. It is only in hindsight we are realizing its impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. No doubt about it. Probably the party was taken in more by the Ram Mandir phenomena. They were hoping that everything will be, because they had a massive outreach through the Sangh cadre for that Akshat distribution and all. They actually went to the houses, but after that probably there was some sort of laziness, slackness on their part. They thought they have done, but election is a different ball game. You have to once again come to the voters. And I mean, there is in those times, nobody could communicate. The voter discurrent could not be communicated to you. It is at some other time when the local things would be communicated to you. And in UP, definitely there was a massive discontent against the local leadership. By local leadership, I mean the MPs, member of parliaments. Member of parliaments, every constituency, you see, voter after voter is reporting that my MP was not visible for the entire 5-year length, 5-year duration. The MP could not be seen. So this is not limited to one constituency or two. It was a phenomena throughout. But as I said earlier, there were some overriding factors also, which would have, because of these concerns alone, the results would not be so dramatic.
Exactly, exactly. How big is the contribution of arrogance? Part of it, you said that there are complaints against the leadership. And wherever you go, even in Bengal, where they are not in power and nowhere near power, the local leaders barely take your call. I don't know about UP. I mean, rather, I find it easier to connect to UP, but I think everywhere local people have similar complaints. So in Amethi, for example, Amethi has a very substantial Muslim population is one side of the story. But the other side of the story is there were a lot of feedbacks about, say, for example, Ms. Smriti Irani's remarks on her competitor from Congress, which was not very charitable. He almost ignored. Now she lost the election. So how big a factor arrogance was?
So, Pratimda, you asked a very good question. And see, Indian electorate will never like arrogance. How much you achieve, whatever you might achieve, after that you have to remain humble. You have to be seen as underdogs in this fight. So that obviously there was a big if whether they kept that humility or not. I'll share some very interesting thing with you and your viewers. After the elections, that day and the coming day, I might have received about 30, 40 calls. Obviously, everybody in shock as to what the reasons for the debacle might have been. And trust me, Pratimda, out of 40, all the 40 people had one thing to say, कि ये इनका घमंड टूटना चाहिए था. I mean, you take it in a positive manner, you take it in a negative manner, you can say that the voter is a fool, we have done this much and that much, but this was a sentiment on the ground. And there must have been some reasons for the people to get that sentiment.
I can tell you, it is a common refrain that, including me, is that it is easier to connect, it is not easy to connect a BJP politician.
Yes.
It is a common
Yes.
thing. So
and here also, one thing I would say, Pratimda, I think it is easier for us to be connected with the topmost echelons of the leadership. I mean, if I want to connect to some of them, I'll probably get an audience, I'll get heard. But this middle rung is like, but why the middle rung is behaving the way it is, that blame also partly has to be taken by the top leadership, because it is, these people are their choice. These people are, I mean, you can always say that the local MP is behaving that way, local MLA is behaving that way. These are people who are there for 2 to 10 hours. Some of them are even more. Why are they being retained? Who is retaining them? So that blame also has to be taken by the top leadership. The top leadership cannot see. The problem is when the voices from the ground are filtered out. You want to hear only to the people whom you want to hear. This is all bound to happen. And this top-down approach, as I had mentioned somewhere, is an unwieldy approach, basically. It cannot yield to results, neither in politics nor in corporate. Something has to come from bottom up also, like some feedback has to come from there also.
I have a question here. I noticed it in UP. Or I think everyone whosoever is a little aware of UP scenario, they know. There has been a kind of a state command versus high command situation in UP. On the day of the result, I called up someone and he was really at its wit's end. He was in shock and he owes his allegiance to the high command and he was blaming the state command for the debacle. What is your opinion about it?
See, I'm neither well connected this side or that side to know what is happening. I mean, in their offices or in their close circles, but certain things are perceptible. When a person like Arvind Kejriwal, he floats a theory about Yogi being removed, and this is a constant thing which we also get to hear, that after this was happening even after the 2022 elections. Some small time functionaries, mid-level functionaries of RSS and BJP would say that after this election, Yogi is going to go, there will be a new CM. Whether they did it on their own or through someone, but this was a narrative being floated on a large scale. And for an important state like UP, such kind of rumors should have been scotched. BJP is a smart party not to know that what kind of repercussions this sort of narrative can bring. I mean, how much harm it can bring to you. So, and here is a CM. I think there is a need for him to improve his working. He's a bit insular. It like he has his own way of functioning.
Yeah, that was my question. Does Yogi deserve this kind of remark?
No, he doesn't deserve. Like for all things done, he's still the best choice.
I was in UP a couple of months ago before the election. I was in Pratapgarh and the eastern UP areas. And I saw in my own eyes that women are moving around in the highway at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. It was unthinkable. I remember I used to go to Benares from to Bundelkhand area to the collieries, and I used to travel from Varanasi, and till 2017 or 18, traveling at night was barred. So I saw the change in UP.
Obviously, I mean, anyone who comes to UP, we people are living here. We know how much change has come here. It was not possible for us to move out like particularly in the hinterlands and all after 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I mean, somebody going out and his bike getting snatched and women moving out, chain snatching happening, this, that.
Everyone,
and religious
even his detractors do agree. I mean, forget
Yes.
about votes, that there is
Yes.
a huge positive change in UP.
Absolutely. And even now, like, see, Pratimda, one more thing. Elections are not fought on social media primarily. I mean, they have a role, but primarily the election debates which actually influence the voting pattern don't happen there on SM. They don't happen in the opinion editorial pages. They actually happen in small meetings, like when you are meeting some of your relatives. when you are in your friend
Street
circle, when you are
corners.
in the same apartment, on the chai ki tapri. So in those discussions, if you are there in UP, people who are voting against BJP or who are feverishly campaigning for Congress party, so many of them still say that if it comes to Yogi, we are with him because we know what change he has brought here. But I mean, Lok Sabha elections will vote in a different manner.
Fair enough. Do you think Yogi is let down by the bureaucracy? Now, I have a point here. The way Yogi running his government is similar to how Navin Babu ran his government in Odisha, riding on bureaucracy. Mamata Banerjee riding on bureaucracy. Mr. Narendra Modi is riding on bureaucracy, right? So I don't find a very elementary difference in that. Second, if it was the bureaucracy that delivered, and that is why the government has the state government, Yogi Adityanath is back in power, or BJP did well in 2019 election also, then why suddenly the bureaucracy should be the bad boy?
Up to a point, see, there are two stages to it, Pratimda. One is like you have delivered on the law and order. Okay, there will be aspirations after that also. Also, state to state, expectations of the voters are also different.
Absolutely.
UP is a much aware state. MP, by contrast, which is just our neighboring state, is a very lax and a relaxed kind of electorate. So there, that much of expectations and all might not be there in the electorate. So UP is a different ball game, and many of your
Also,
things
UP
might
is politically restless.
restless. It is a restless state. People want change to come the very next day. That is there. So, and moreover, there is a perceptible difference also in Yogi's first term and the second term. First term, you were seeing a lot of top bureaucrats being dismissed. They were being, punished for their misdeeds and all. That we are not seen in this tenure. To what reasons this is happening, and like that I can't figure it out. Maybe he feels that like I'm here only temporarily and all. So I'm not very sure about it. But the kind of grip what we saw in the last term is missing here. Bureaucracy is not being reined in.
So it is not Mr. Yogi who is on top. It is rather bureaucracy understood and took a grip.
No, we have seen there are certain appointment decisions, transfer decisions, which keep pending for a long time. There are certain bureaucrats which Mr. Yogi wants to be there. They are not relieved from other state cadres. They are not given to UP. Certain particular bureaucrats only are put in here. It is very obvious that this is a choice not of Mr. Yogi, but it is a choice from center. All that is very much visible. Anybody who reads the newspaper, goes through the newspapers, sees it very clearly. So, there is a perception that Yogi doesn't have a free hand. I mean, even in his bureaucratic selection and so many other things. That's a perception.
Okay. And what Mr. Yogi Adityanath has to improve?
He has primarily to improve his insularity. He has to mix up. He is not like the local MLA MPs still are reluctant to go and meet him. His West UP visits are very less. Actually, he goes to so many eastern parts of the state, but that many visits are not there in the western part, which is actually, giving more seats to BJP. That is one part. And over-reliance, when you are over-reliant on the bureaucracy, you are obviously neglecting the cadre. So cadre neglect is a problem here that is to be addressed. So I think that is his basic problem. Other things are not that much of a problem. UP also need a person with an iron hand, who can take to task both the bureaucrats.
It is not a soft state.
Yeah, and even the errant state leaders also, because state leaders are also not all Doodh ka Dula. They also have their own, wishes as to how the things should run. So UP actually needs a man like him. And for a long this duration, we probably need him for 2 more tenures.
Do you think RSS has let down BJP? I'm saying this with a specific reference. During the election, sometime, BJP president said, probably it was not said with, only a part of it is quoted in media or whatever, but what essentially the quote was that we don't need RSS. We are sufficient, kind of. Do you think that RSS has let down or RSS was down in this election?
I think this question has been answered very well by Ratan Shardaji in his piece in Organizer yesterday. I think yesterday or day before yesterday only. So he has put it out very clearly, categorically. RSS conducts pre-election meets in its own capacity to educate the voters as to what should be their concerns while voting, nationalistic concerns basically. So he says there were about 2 lakh such meets all over India, and he's an insider, so you'd know it very well. Going above that, he makes a very important point that it is actually local BJP candidates' responsibility to seek more help if he wants. If he wants more than the usual from the RSS cadre, which generally happens, then the BJP candidate should reach out to the local cadre, and they would obviously pitch in. Coming to your point, Pratim, blaming RSS alone for that apathy, what was the BJP cadre doing? Anybody who was moving in UP, or for that matter, a lot of people told me from Maharashtra and other states also, that the BJP cadre itself was missing from the ground. How can you blame RSS alone? And mind you, there is an overlap. RSS and BJP, there are a lot of times there is an overlap. The same man who is going to the Shakha also is a BJP functionary. So it was basically laxity and overconfidence on part of both the organizations, I think. I mean, we shouldn't read too much into it. Basically, overconfidence, what I feel.
There has been conflicts, at least I saw in West Bengal also. So what comes out from this discussion are, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, couple of things. One, typically the Sangh network, the cadre base, the traditional ways of approaching people, the mass connects, these are somewhat weakened during this long stay in power and during the overemphasis on Modi factor. I think everyone was very happy that Modi will come and win the election, kind of. Second thing is the regional leaders are strong and able, whosoever had delivered, like Mr. Yogi Adityanath, should be given more power, and they should be, to attach accountability on them, they should also be given the free hand. And I think it's not a new expectation. The same thing came up, I think it was discussed with regard to Mr. Sivraj Chauhan, the other top senior leaders of BJP. There was a similar concern from these states. So thank you very much, Mr. Sawarswat. Thanks for very nice and a 360-degree view.
Thank you so much, Pratim. Thank you so much.